Film at 11.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Indie Vote Live. It is me, the unboxing, the unboxing. Um,
It's unboxing day.
yeah, unboxing day. We are going to unbox. We are going to unbox comic books. Eric Hudson has invested heavily. Red Dinosaur. He has invested heavily. He's taken out a third mortgage on his home to invest in these indie books. And
You know, at $25 a pop, if you supported all of them, it probably would require some sort of financial skullduggery on the part of your institution.
yeah.
Probably.
So yeah, we have done it. We've done it. Randy's got books. I've got books. Eric's got books. Lola's got double lattes. That's what she's got. And so yeah, that's today's indie vote. And I'm gonna roll that awesome intro that we have.
Roll the beautiful bean footage.
Yep. As soon as I find it.
Here we go. Oh,
There we go.
almost twice.
Yeah,
Right.
almost twice. Almost.
It was so pretty.
The intro's so nice. We almost played it twice.
Almost.
Yeah. Dave, the Supreme is joining us. How you doing, Dave? So is Ted Davies. Hello.
Hey, Ted and Dave.
And we are live.
Finally,
Here on Indie
we're
Yeah.
live.
So we got we got comics to unbox. And but I want to ask you guys, first of all, two things came up this weekend. I understand that
Are we going to introduce ourselves?
oh sure. I should. You know, everyone's indie vote live is someone's first, right? So
That's
I guess
what we should assume.
it should
Besides,
someone
nobody knows who these jackasses on the air are,
yeah.
especially on
we got
Indie Volt Radio.
We got M3SOZ dropping some hashtags recommendations for you, man.
Yeah, you know, and I gotta add those too. Actually, I forgot to do that this round, and I got home late. I was visiting Randy, and I got
Dropping
home.
off some stuff.
Yeah, I was dropping off stuff to Randy, and
I kept asking him before he left if there was anything he forgot to take with him. He didn't remember.
yeah. So I was like, I don't think so. I just have to get rid of these books. But yeah, I'm gonna add those M3s. I'm gonna add those. Matter of fact, I'm gonna save them right from here. So I will definitely introduce myself right now. My name is Varian Graham, the co-owner. Wow.
Corner.
Yeah, I'm the corner of Last Call Comics for the last 7 years. Last Call Comics, a great independent publishing house and founder of Indie Vote Media LLC. I got my start making comics back in 2008. My first book published was a black and white interior action comedy called Psycho Sirens. I am a father, a husband, and a creator, publisher, a reluctant taxpayer, and artist, not in that order. And you're watching Indie Vote Live tonight. I'm joined by my wife Lola, aka Double Lattes, aka Click Cheap. Click. Oh, is it cheap? Wow. Um, what's the word? Cheap clickbait. And yeah, she doesn't say much, but we like to make her laugh. Also, I have who is that to my right? Left? Is that
To
left?
your right,
Right? All right. No. Left.
right here,
Yeah, right here.
next to Viking Yoda.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I'm Randy Zimmerman. I do the Zim Geek channel on YouTube. I've been publishing independent alternative comics for many, many, many years under the Arrow, the Massive, the Weeby Comics brand. Working as a freelancer for a lot of other independent comics, anybody that would let me work for them at the time. And the last 10 years, I was doing Flint Comics and Entertainment, which was a local comics and entertainment paper we gave away around the Flint, Michigan area. Moved through 10,000 copies, did 100 issues. So there's 1 million copies of that floating around our little county. So now I'm working on the Zim Geek channel and working on comics. So outside of doing commercial work whenever it comes by.
And today we're joined by Dreaded Dinosaur, Go ahead.
That's right, Eric Hodson here. Let's see. I started doing independent comics back when it was uncool in 2005. Published 4 or 5 books, then took a time off to do some teaching and figure out what I was going to do with my life. And jumped back into the fire. Been touring the Comic-Con circuit as an artist. I am the artist on Roddy Piper, the Kilted Avenger, currently in production. I also have a webtoon called Dreaded Dinosaur Man. Make sure you check that out. And I've unfortunately been Varian's friend for a number of years, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, everyone gets caught up eventually. Yeah, I've known Eric for years. And in fact, Eric was one of the first people before I was doing comics. I walked by his booth and I bought his book. I have it up here somewhere.
What, really?
Yeah.
Oh, if you got that, that's awesome. I can't even find any more copies.
Yeah. I know I keep some in the bedroom, but definitely I have some of them, and it's it's your zombie books.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, everyone have a good weekend.
Yeah.
No, not at all. But
apparently, if you avoided Wizard World Columbus, you had a great weekend.
Apparently, if you avoided a lot of shows, I didn't hear anything good out of Fan Expo Dallas. Shots from it on Sunday were a graveyard, basically. So I think at this point, news would be what shows were good this last weekend.
I didn't hear anything from anybody that did Fantasticon up in Mount Pleasant. That was a 2-day show held at Soaring Eagle Casino. Want to say hello to Emily Zelasco. She's listening in.
Hello, Emily. Hello. Yeah. Those shows were, gosh, they seemed pretty bad this week. Hopefully they will be better next year, and hopefully, I think it's maybe just are we getting too late in the year? People are tired and we're saving for the holiday season. Is that it?
That's part of it. We're in an overall downturn with shows anyway. That was it's been forthcoming. We're gonna have a period where there's gonna be some shows go out of business, get bought out. Just heard a little rumor that Pensacon might have new owners now, unverified. But we're gonna see a lot of that type of stuff happening, and eventually the market will sort itself out.
Sort itself out at the expense of me.
No, man. The secret is you just got to keep doing what you're doing. You got to just grind through and be the ones that survive on the back end.
Keep plugging.
Yeah.
M3SOZ says people look for podcasts.
Yeah, and speaking of podcasts, I rip all of these now and I put them on Spotify.
Awesome.
So we so you can get listen to all that lovely dead air on Spotify.
There we go.
Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts. What's it? Stitcher, one of them. The TuneIn. We're everywhere. So I'll put up a link to where they all are. But
all the more reason to get our information out there, at the start and the end of the podcast, so folks know that how to get a hold of us, so that they can yell and scream at us for whatever we say.
I can't believe you said that. So yeah, we've everybody here has invested, except for Lola, has invested in crowdfunding books. And today we want to talk about, we want to also address we promised to do some of those unopenings. Tuesday's Breakfast Bus, Dreaded Dinosaur was with us, and he opened up a few books, Cyberfrog, Blood Honey, Chromium cover, and Long Harbor. No, I'm just kidding. No one has Long Harbor.
Nobody has Long Harbor. We're all waiting for Long Harbor. We were hoping to get it before Halloween, because it is a horrific book. Or a horror book that looks really nice. I'm just waiting for it.
So we opened those, and
Alejandro needs to get to work.
Grab the audience from YouTube. Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna put the matter of fact, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna put the those hashtags in there. Yeah, we try to have as much fun as we possibly can open these books. So, guys, did you want me to go first?
No, you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Or either that, or you can have Eric go, and then we can go around the horn and come back to Eric.
Yeah. Before we do that, let's bring in our special guest. It's one of the sexiest men working in comics today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have.
Careful, you're going to make him do a spit take.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
up?
Hey there.
We have Mr. Lyman with us. Hello,
Josh
sir.
Lyman is streaming. It's the apocalypse.
I know. Call the police and all the armed forces and everything you possibly can do. Hi, Randy.
Can you hear him? Oh, he's a hi.
Oh yeah. Hey.
I warn you,
Okay.
if you thought my typing was annoying, me talking is possibly even worse.
Can't be any more annoying than all the rest of us. So it's all good.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So yeah, I went to Randy's house today, and I traded Randy some old Marvel '90s magazines for some alternative stuff.
Some old magazines.
Yeah. And
100 pagers. Who knew Marvel did 100 pagers? Look at that.
yeah,
Back in
That's
the
pretty.
90s. Mostly John Byrne reprints, Klaus Janson, Daredevil, Leighton and McElhenney, Iron Man's, just classic stuff. All put together in 100 pages.
well, the thing was, I took a picture of him in South Dakota, and Randy said, "Could you get me those?" And I thought, "Oh, sure." Huh?
I'd never seen them.
Yeah. So now he has. Now he's a
Now
problem.
I have them. Thank you.
Hey, Trico. No, you haven't missed anything. We were just getting all sorted here. We're gonna do some unboxing today.
Oh, cool.
Comics. But yeah, I got so I stole these from Randy. Came out on the
Wednesday.
Oh, you got Red Koi. I'm jealous.
Yeah, Red Koi and Scrimshaw. Is that Scrimshaw?
Scrimshaw.
Scrimshaw is real good.
Yes.
I've heard great things about Red Koi. I kind of want to pick that book up.
So I had him take a copy of it.
Yeah.
I
And
haven't
then
read
I
it yet either.
Scrimshaw,
I've
black
got
and
a
white
stack
on,
of
like,
reading about that big
saturation.
now, though.
it's black and white. Is it?
Black and white, like yellow saturation behind it.
Ah. And then I got the calendar. The calendar. I stole it from Randy. But what I got in the mail, what I was really excited about, Randy hasn't got yet. It's Pink Lemonade
Yes.
from Nick Cagnetti.
The Speed Racer girl.
Yeah. She's I got all 4 covers. So
Oh, no. Jason Moore says Kirk Jarvinen and him did the cover for... I'm trying to pull that up. I can't get it.
here I got it.
Because I was trying to pull
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
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 Did
Good,
the cover for Magazine 4. Let me take a look at that.
Gotta make him sign it.
You could probably bring up almost any comic, and Randy could shuffle around and pull it out of his basement somewhere.
Yeah.
No, actually, this says it was by Lee Weeks.
We said Spider-Man magazine though.
Oh, the Spider Magazine?
Yeah, Spider-Man. magazine.
Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, didn't know that existed either. This is Marvel Superheroes Magazine.
So yeah, I got Pink
That's
Lemonade.
cool.
Have not read it yet. Excited to read it. The covers look good. The covers look awesome. Especially I got all of them, but I'm gonna give one away. Not from this pack. I have a secondary pack coming. I'm gonna give one away, but I think right now having them in my hand, I will read them tonight. And hopefully,
There we go.
yeah. So I have a question for you guys though. Before we move on to your unboxing, question came in. I don't have graphics for it because, like I said, I've been out in the streets all day. But one of the questions that we were,
So that's how you make your money.
yeah.
He's the one sitting out on the curb. Makes sense.
I'm washing my mouth out with this Nas. There's what do you guys think? Do you guys how do you guys feel about we've covered this before, but how do you guys feel about convention prices for tables? Do you feel that they ought to be capped? That was from hold on, I'll get the guy's name.
Which Jason is this? You said had the question.
Jason Moore.
Jason,
Well, no, that wasn't Jason asked this question.
That's a different Jason.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah. No,
different Jason.
this question here. 1 second.
Cool.
Go on my email. And I'm sorry, I apologize. I do not have. Yeah, what you call it? This one? Okay. Was from Lance Shoemaker. Hello, Lance. If you're watching or listening on Google Radio, Lance Shoemaker wants to know: do you feel the Comic-Con prices for tables need to be capped?
I think it all depends upon the convention. I don't think we should tell anybody how to do their business or that.
Exactly. I
so
kind of
much
agree with that.
so much per table. But I think that if the table price is too high, you don't go.
Yeah, that's something that the market's going to decide. As
Yeah.
long as people are willing to pay something, that's the people you're going to get showing up at those shows.
Right?
Yeah.
How much is too much? Would you say there's like, even if for a Reed Pop convention where they know they're going to get, several thousand people through the door, is there ever for an artist alley spot you're uncomfortable paying $800 for a table? Would you be uncomfortable?
I think honestly, my biggest issue isn't so much the payment. It's typically the higher the price, the more the restrictions. You'll find that, for example, if you do take Reed Pop into example, they do have a jury system, so they make sure that the artists are published. They make sure the art is actually, up to a certain standard, which is great. But then at the same time, they set up like an 8-foot cap as far as like a height restriction. And like Eric's like 6'2", 6'3", I'm 6'1". I'm easily 2 feet across. I will thoroughly admit that. So as soon as you even try to stand up to sell your wares, you can't. So you have to sit down, and that will kill that in itself, in my opinion, actually kills the sales metrics more than the actual price point for the table.
Eric uses Riser sometimes too, just to get his table a bit higher, and some shows won't let you do that. I know how.
Hey, Eric, where'd you get that from?
A very wise old man.
Old?
I know like and I know Wizard has banned the risers, right, Eric?
Yeah, Wizard doesn't allow risers.
Yeah. That was some people complained that it wasn't fair.
That's the thing at cons that needs to stop. What we need to stop is the one person ruins it for everybody that seems to plague everything.
Mm-hmm.
What somebody complains, oh, it's not fair. That person, go pound sand, buy your own risers. Come on.
It's not that hard.
It is $10. $10 at Walmart. You can afford
Or
that.
$3 at Goodwill.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta find a Goodwill to go to. Ralph says
some things. Let me grab my USB. 1 second.
sure. Ralph says show more than $100 is out of question as a dealer. My stock is not large enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
well, and that answer of what's too much, it's going to scale with, what kind of product you have, how successful you are. Some people can, put down $1,000 easy enough because they know they're going to make 3 or 4 times that. It just depends on how you position yourself. And one of my biggest pet peeves in this industry, and this is worse with artists because most of the vendors actually know how to be a business person. A lot of the artists don't know a thing about being a business person. I know when I got into it, I didn't know jack. I've been learning everything as I go, and it's just more irritating that public school and college was of no service to me on how to actually make and keep money.
Mm-hmm.
That's another rant for another day.
I wasn't taught. You guys didn't learn me good. No, I get it. I mean, that you're right. There's a lot of times where you come into the business, and there's a lot of guys. They don't even want the education if you offer it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, there's an odd thing with some people. They have this affront to information that would improve their life because it hurts their pride or something, so they automatically push it away. That's
Now,
why
are you
a lot
saying as far as hurting their pride, like learning from other people, or like learning, hey, what to give
it
up?
could be that. It could be just not willing to admit, hey, I didn't know this, or it could be not wanting to learn from other people. Like they think of themselves as the bee's knees, and I don't know. I don't want to get into the psychology of it because I don't think there's anything that actually makes sense there. I just don't understand. If you're bringing me information that's going to help me, thank you.
Yeah. The next question actually is from an unnamed person, and they want us to spill the tea. Have you ever walked into a room, seen a particular exhibitor, and knew that it was going to be a bad show, like no one was going to make money or anything? I'm not naming names. Yeah.
I've walked into some shows, seen the people around me, and knew I was going to make money that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I walk into a show and I see Eric set up, 3 tables long, and
Becomes crestfallen.
yeah, it's like, oh man, Eric's here.
Well, I'm the reason that you were there because I gave you a ride.
Yeah. Like I didn't know you were setting up. I thought you were giving me a ride. That's all. Yeah, no, it's I've never seen anybody. I have seen people that I have seen people that I thought, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not next to them. But I never felt like all the money was going out of a room because someone was there. I think that what I have is unique. There are people, but again, there are people that I hope aren't my neighbors. Are on the same aisle as me, and if they are, then I'm like, oh crap. Normally I run to Randy. You gotta move him. You gotta move him. Move me.
I've never had that situation happen.
No.
I've had requests not to be placed next to other people while I'm setting up the table, but
Yeah.
never somebody that come running up and going, that guy's got to move.
How about you, Josh? Have you ever had a situation where you walked in and seen someone and you're like, I can't sit next to this person?
Kind of. So the big issue when it comes to like going, oh crap, someone's next to you. It's typically when you come in and you know, hey, I'm one of the strong people with this. For example, let's say wrestling, or I'm the person with, gnomes with beer or something like that. For a personal example. And then you walk in, and the person that's like your number one competition as far as like that demographic or anything like that is going to be like right across from you or right next to you. Yeah, you're going to be like, ah, crap. But the reality is you just have to adapt. It's like, let's say you're lower end, it's your first year or first 2 years, and you've only done like 6 shows. And you end up next to, quote, a wall of prints like my own or, Eric's or anything like that. I don't fault you, but at the same time, it's going to be one of those weird things where it's like, unless I'm seeing that you're not making a single sale, I'm not really worried about you. I got to focus on my space.
Yeah. M3SOZ says, what is the most money any of you ever made at a convention as a retailer or artist?
This just in. This is none of your business.
I'll give you a good number. I think the most that I've made, the thing is, I take a lot into consideration. If I've made, if I made hotel fee and my room and food, I like to say I've walked out of there with profit. I've walked out of a Motor City Comic Con, which is my best show of the year, because I don't have hotel fee. I don't have a long way to drive. And especially last year. Last year was great. But I think I've walked out of a profit. You say about $700, $800? Yeah, $800 profit. Like, I got my money back plus. So that was great. But yeah, and keep in mind, I have a very small amount of stuff, believe it or not. That was,
like you don't have like fan art, right?
I got like a couple of pieces of like fan art, but yeah,
like
mine's like comic sales. Right? Yeah, mine is like comic sales, and Lola makes some stuff occasionally, but yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, independent comics,
the coasters and things, right?
Yeah, so for independent comics and the stuff I got, that 800 is not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But I've gone on the show
without telling actual numbers. If I'm just gonna be honest, I'd say the most I've ever made was 9 times my cost at one show.
Ooh.
That show does not exist anymore. Because long story short, they just didn't plan it right the next year, and the next year just everybody decided to be like, dude, you have to come to this show. And it bombed.
Ralph Griffith says as a retailer around 3,000, but most between 150, 300. How about you, Eric? But I'm pretty small time, Ralph says. And I think that's I'm very small.
I'm going to be kind of tight-lipped too. I'd have to say probably my most successful is about 4 or 5 times over cost.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I've definitely walked away smiling on a couple of occasions. So
every once in a while, you'll run into that show where you just do well. It doesn't matter what your times are that you did or what your money is. You decided, you know what, this was a really good show.
Yeah.
My overhead was low. Yep. And you know what? That $500, Godzilla, that's coming home with me. I don't care. You know, that kind of thing. Or in my case, it'll be like, you know what, that original, that's coming home with me.
Yeah.
You know, those little things. And that's kind of where it comes down to. Like I bought this statue from Emerald City last year, which has no purpose whatsoever. It's just a cylindrical robot with a briefcase and a top hat, and it's just resin made, and it was a custom an artist did, and the box was amazing. It has absolutely no fandom except for just this random painting that he did, and I'm like, I'm buying that. And I don't even like robots that much.
Randy, would you want to say 5 times, 2 times?
I don't know. I can tell you. I can say it was quite a lot on as an artist setup. I've had a perfect storm where somebody's walked in and decided that they have to buy a bunch of art.
Just buy all the originals.
Yeah, just go through and start pulling pages and plop them down in front of you. Well, how much you want for all of this? And you know, you have to go through, and then somebody else walks up and buys a cover, and you know, and other shows you sit there. Well, a lot of other shows you just sit there forever, and you go, I got artwork.
Yeah.
As a retailer, same thing. You know, you get that. You never know from show to show. Somebody walks in and has to buy specific books. Because I used to travel the East Coast circuit for a retailer and take a bunch of books out and do small shows here and there. And sometimes you did really good, and sometimes you didn't. And even as a convention planner, it's it varies from show to show. Sometimes you don't do nothing. Sometimes you make a little. Sometimes you make a lot. It just doesn't. Yeah. You can't tell. Yeah, every show is different.
Ralph says, I imagine as an artist, it's another beast altogether. Are you worried? When's your time to sweat, guys? Like, do you get worried? Like, can you tell a show is going to be a bust on Friday?
No, never on a Friday. But you can definitely tell if by like midday Saturday you haven't hit cost.
Yeah.
Well, and then again, I've had that happen too, and then Sunday was booming.
You see, that's
so
only
you can't ever tell.
One or two times, and it'd be like they did Groupon on Sunday.
Yeah,
Groupon Sunday.
I have
plenty of shows do it. Plenty of shows do it.
Yeah, I have walked into venues before I've set up and went, oh man, this is gonna suck. Positioning's wrong. Event the venue is wrong or whatever, and you just go, oh man, I wish I hadn't come.
Ralph says, all you need is one person to make the show worthwhile.
All it takes is one magical savior, and the entire weekend will be magical. Magical, yeah.
I was sitting next to Randy. I was sitting at Randy's table for con last year, and I was amazed at I think it was last February, and people were coming up to him, and they're pulling out books I've never seen before. And they want Randy to sell them. I mean, they want Randy to sign them. Yeah, sign them. And I'm looking like, what the heck is this? What the heck is going on?
And I'm looking at him and laughing and going, where the hell did you dig this up from?
Yeah. I mean, they're bringing out books. You know, they're on newsprint, and I'm, you guys, I got newsprint allergy, so I'm breaking out. And I don't know how.
It's when you get the weird commercial assignment. Somebody comes up and wants you to sign at a show. It's like, where did you find? How long have you had this? If anybody
ever comes up to me with any of these real estate ads or anything I ever did, I'm done.
I used to do a comic strip in Showgirls magazine.
Oh, see, now that's not something to be worried about.
It pops up and somebody opens the book to the comic page. Will you sign this? It's like you really.
I mean, if there's a child there and it's like mildly offensive, then yeah, maybe. Whatever. Yeah. Well, trust me, I don't know. I think we all draw something along those lines which crosses PG-13.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, like I actually have to finish like 3 of those this week. But
I always tell artists it's the job that you enjoyed the least is the one that's going to come at your conventions the most.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to happen. You're just going to go, oh, you want me to sign? I'll sign this. But then on the other hand, I had an original art piece from Champions that Byrne had penciled and Bob Layton had drawn or had inked, and I took it up to Bob Layton, and he thought it was the worst piece of crap he had ever had in his life. You really want me to sign this? oh, and I'm like, dude, you got to sign it because I had Byrne sign it. So if you sign it, I'll have both of you done it. So, you know, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Of course, he signed it at the exact opposite corner from where Byrne signed it because I don't think they were getting along at the time.
Oh.
Josh, how'd you get your start in comics? Where'd you come from?
So my I guess you could say my start in comics kind of started while I was in college. My degree is in 3D modeling and animation. And long story short, when I was there, somebody had the Batman Superman crossover where it was Mr. Mxyzptlk and Emperor Joker fighting it out and creating knockoff Avengers and stuff. And I hadn't really been into comics for a while. And I picked that up, and it was Ed McGuinness and Jeff Loeb, and it was just gorgeous. Like, everything about it was just fun. It was poking fun at Marvel. I love Marvel's character designs, but their storylines are terrible. DC, in contrast, is the complete opposite. And you're like, here, look, everyone has Tron lines. That's another topic for another time as well. But at the time, I wasn't that great an artist. And even now, I'm like intermediate. And I will thoroughly admit that. I'm working on it. It really comes down to the drive. But I took on a couple of jobs. I started doing flatting for Aspen Comics. We were working on Executive Assistant Iris and Fathom. And flatting is like the most basic job you can do as far as comic books are concerned. You get paid maybe $5 a page for, you know, what's going to take a couple hours. You know, if you're lucky, they'll pay you 20. But I was working with John Starr through another artist, and this artist was out of Florida, and he was doing other stuff. And long story short, I started pushing myself at Comic Cons as well. I started working with the indie groups out of DC. Some of the guys like 21st Century Sandshark and Capes and Babes, and, you know, everything from web comics to just random indie goth stuff. And I would just throw in submissions and be like, here you go, guys, you know, enjoy.
Did you get a chance to meet my favorite artist, Mike Turner? Did you get a chance to work with him?
Mike who?
Mike Turner.
No, I did not. I got to work with the ghosts.
Okay.
Like the people who purposely like knocked off his design.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, that's when I discovered how much working under flats was massively underpaid. Like, there's some really great people out there that still do flatting. Like, there's Lauren Perry out of DC, not DC. I'm sorry, Seattle, Washington area, and she's been doing flatting for like My Little Pony and stuff like that for years. Where it's just they just do basic cell shading on top, and they just bust their ass and they just continue to knock these things out. So the guys I was working with, they were like, oh no, I need to have every single button laid out. Every single button on this, USS Destroyer class ship, like actual boat ship, needs to be isolated and completely different. Or here's this rose pattern you need to figure out on this costume when you have no color guide to go off of for it. You know, stuff like that. It's just crazy. But yeah, I started with flatting, and then I did some inking for some people. Random submissions, and then my first professional gig was sketch cards, like I think most of us. It was for Fifinity. I got to work on Voltron, and that was, aside from Aspen, it was like, for me, I was elated. Like, it was the first time that I got to do something from my childhood, and that in itself was just like amazing. I busted my butt working on it, and you can maybe find one or two of those things on eBay from now, but it was just a lot of fun. And then they invited me for the Moonstone Publishing book, for the tribute book. And yeah, I mean, not to go through the whole catalog, but long story short, I did more cards and more groups and more pages and things like that. And then I decided to take 3 or 4 years off. And I'm just now finally starting to get back into it. I was working with an artist. His name's Johnny Segura. And most of everybody on the circuit doesn't really know, because he mostly just drives to shows, and he's kind of taken an hiatus. There's a local group in the Texas area called CCP, and they at first they were like, "Oh, hey, you should consider joining." And I just looked at it, and it wasn't really my thing. But there was an artist there I really enjoyed, and his style was very cartoony, but it was also reminiscent of like graffitis meets like Joe Madura and styles like that, with a little bit of Ramos mixed in. And he and I hit it off. He's just one of those straight shooters. He's very honest to the point, and he's not everybody's cup of tea. I guess his biggest claim to fame was Special Agent Harambe. Basically, once Harambe got shot, government takes him and turns him into a cybernetic secret agent. Might hypothetically shoot a certain person who was running for president who didn't win. One of the issues, but I did a bunch of back issue stuff for him, just for him to use and just having fun because he's a good friend. And now, if I get time in this winter, I'll be working with good old Eric here on a certain Easter Island storyline. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah, I'm scheduling it.
Sweet. I'm
It's
penciled
on the
in.
schedule. It's on the schedule.
Yeah.
I-
well, digital gestures. Yeah. So I'm the only one who has a scanner, apparently. I give him crap because he's Eric's has done way more comic book work than I have, especially sequentials, especially during the last couple of years while doing these shows, and I applaud him for it. But he graciously let me stay at his place while we were doing a slew of shows, and the man has no scanner.
Yeah, Eric, I got a big 11x17. You never asked.
Dude,
Yeah.
I don't even need one anymore. The one that I did
Yeah,
have.
he doesn't need one. He just rocks everything out, and then if he has to he just takes a good photo with his iPhone. And he's good to go.
Well, Lola had a question from her Facebook. What was it?
What you got?
I have a question. I just said hellos.
Oh, it's
Hello.
Lola's. Okay, yeah, she has. Hello, everyone watching one on Lola's Facebook. Hello. Now, I guess who's gonna open up first? Who's opening up?
I can.
Okay.
My openings for this week are not books. They're not indie comic books. I'm sorry. So,
All right, Eric. What do you got? I'm gonna take you full screen.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my fancy other camera, and we'll see. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. So I've got 3 packages here that I've selected, and if time allots, I can bring in some more. Let's see what this first one here is. Now this one, Haunted Pizza LLC. I'm not really sure who this is from. I don't remember. And make sure I'm actually putting it in the frame. Okay. So I got my trusty X-Acto knife.
Ooh, look, it's an X-Acto knife.
Well, with my crumpled up hands, I'll be lucky not to cut my fingers.
I was just like, how did you get that to push down, dude? I'm digging the hand warmers, though. I'm a little jealous.
Oh yeah, my wife and I picked these up for us because she has one of the same illnesses I do, Raynaud's now.
Mhm.
Not as bad as me, but her hands get cold all the time at work, so
I'm
pick
really
these up and
water in Michigan at this point.
yeah, something like that. Anyway, so nice Gemini comic mailer. These are the preferred comic mailers. It's like a peep show.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Graveyard Shift. Graveyard Shift. Signed by John Malin, my fellow Michigander.
Why didn't he just drive it over?
Well, then it wouldn't sit in Eric's room for so long before he opened it.
Yeah. Eric's still opening up copies of X-Men 90s from Jim Lee, X-Men #1.
Yeah.
Is
All right. Let's see.
that a card?
Yeah, got a trading card here, Professor Blood, whoever that is. I'm sure I'll find out when I read the book. Power ratings.
We
That
rate
card looks-
this at the
That
book.
card,
Got one of those.
that card looks small or big, or you just got like really small hands.
It's got
I
really
can-
small heads.
All right. Nice square bound book. Nice and thick.
Hard, thick book.
Yep.
What's supposed to go here?
A sketch.
I have ads. Thank you for add-on people recently. I'm assuming they're stream watching.
Beautiful look. Beautiful looking book.
Yeah, this look nice. How many pages would you say that is?
Gosh, this is probably 660 maybe. They're not numbered, of course.
Yeah.
It looks thicker than 50, so it's nice.
Is it thicker than the Snickers? Yeah, it looks pretty good. How much you pay for that one? Is that one of
This was one of
$30?
those $25. What is happening to her? Ouch.
The paper stock on that's really thick too.
Yeah, this definitely has a nice heavy stock to it.
A rib cage coming out of her abdomen.
It looks like it looks like a child and her intestines.
Her arm's off, yeah.
Well, you know, hey, go with the the value, right? The Shaco.
It's-
Demon eyes, no more monsters. Pretty sure I remember
There's Varian's favorite eyes to draw.
the what is that? The Liefeld eyes?
they call it horror eyes, apparently.
Are they?
Horror eyes, yes. I like my eyelashes.
I'll leave it at that.
All right, cool, awesome. Another one to add to the pile. They're going from the opening pile to the reading pile, so I guess that's an improvement.
And don't throw away those mailers. You may be able to send your stuff out in them.
Yeah, I can just scrub this out and send the Piper book out in one of these.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I got another one here.
I believe that Graveyard Shift is 60 pages.
60. That's what I thought. Cool.
Randy, you have a copy as well, right?
I do. I just counted the pages.
Okay.
That is a fast count. I'm gonna toast to that.
Oh, you got toasting stuff? All I got is water.
Yeah, that's tea.
Ah.
Okay, so this one here is from David Lucrelli. Let's see. Lucrelli. I think I know what this one is.
All right. Still figuring out where this mic needs to
Whoa,
go.
whoa, whoa. There's a lot of stuff in this.
Another Gemini mailer.
Another Gemini mailer. Oh yes. Oh yes.
So is the forgive me, is the
Tinseltown.
box the Gemini mailer?
Yeah, the box is Gemini mailer. They're really nice.
What do they
Mailers.
run?
About $1 a box.
And that's if you're buying them in bulk, or
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
They drop down. You basically get like the more you order, you basically like I can get like was it 200 for $100? I think it was 200 for
like
100. Yeah.
All right, for those of you at home who aren't familiar with this book, this is from Alterna. This is Tinseltown, and it's one of the first Alterna books that I bought to support Peter's company, and this is the one I fell in love with the most. I absolutely adored this book. The reading was great. It's basically about a young woman who in the 1920s, 1930s era of Hollywood, she's one of the lone police officers, and has to deal with a lot of weirdness in Hollywood. Look at that! It even got a nice little pin that came
That's
with it.
pretty
That's cool.
Cool.
M3SOZ says he wants cake while watching this.
This is not a cheap thing to put in with your bric-a-brac for your book.
Yeah.
So this is pretty nice to see.
Yeah.
And I got looks like I got the whole collection of the limited series, and I got the graphic novel. This was to support the Kickstarter, I think it was, of the graphic novel, which had some extra stories to it, some pinups, and kind of finished out the series. So definitely a really good read, especially if you like crime and noir kind of stuff, which I really do. This was right up my alley. This is a good thing to try to check out. Nice big bundle too.
Cool.
That word bundle. Trigger.
Bundle.
Bundle? Does that trigger you?
Trigger. And
Trigger? Wow. This is a trigger-free zone, sir, in the sense that we don't allow triggers.
Signed books. Oh, hey, we got a bookmark.
Where the hell are my batteries? Oh, sorry. My bad.
It's okay.
I
10
forgot.
percent issue 5. Okay. 4. They're all signed too, huh?
Yep, all signed. I believe this is third printing. If you have a gold logo, it's the third printing
I believe you're right.
of the book. Reinforced cardboard, always a plus.
My Tenshi life.
Anime. Tinseltown.
I do have first printing of this book, but this is the second printing of it,
Cool.
signed.
One goes in Mylar.
Here's that beautiful newsprint.
Oh.
That's right. Get off your butt and get that graphic up.
Yeah. Let me find it. Hold on. Let me find it. Where is it? Where is it? Where there's this? Newsies! Look at the newsprint.
This is a very dialogue heavy book too, so it really, the story is good enough to keep you interested in it, what's going on.
It doesn't. The art looks really good. I like that. It looks very crisp. The art. It's not. It's better than some of the books I've seen recently.
Oh man, that one got damaged.
Well, you know, what the problem is this. The newsprint paper just can't handle.
See, now I gotta burn down the whole studio and start over because not everything's perfect. All right, you want me to do another one? You want to open what you got?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, go ahead, open. Including sound effect. That was cool.
Much better.
I'm waiting for Eric to cut into a
Slice right into the cover, right? Yeah.
Ah!
This is why we can't have nice things, Eric. This is why we can't have nice things.
How is this? Oh, it's, I see. It's sealed along this edge.
And there he is, cutting right into the spine of the book.
Scans.
Oh, damn you, hands work.
You
I
move
say
the
that
camera.
line all the time. They don't
Gemini,
like
Gemini, Gemini.
You move the camera.
Gemini. Comics.
Ah.
There we
Now
go.
everybody knows that I'm not dressed up.
Yeah.
At least you have pants on.
That would have been awkward.
All right, we got
Wouldn't be anything I hadn't seen yet, but still.
Flowl E. Not. Wait, no. Lone Wolf.
And Cub? Where's Cub?
Yeah.
My
All right, this is by my buddy Doug Garrett, and he had, I believe, his first effort at Indiegogo didn't do so well, but he got it funded on the second effort.
Mhm.
And all right, so we got kind of a, it's not a glossy cover, but it's kind of a matte satin color. That's kind of nice. Got a nice soft feel to it.
How thick is the book? Do you think?
Looks like it's a standard 32 pager.
Right.
Gravestone Press, 2019.
Ashcan Comics Pub, $10 a month. What is that?
I have
Free
no idea.
advertising. That's what that is.
All right.
Chill, man,
Chill.
chill.
Art's pretty nice. I kind of like to see this watercolor coloring style going on. That's kind of cool. Now, this is a book about a Native American who, I believe he's immortal. He can't be killed. There's some sort of curse or something associated with him.
Oh, so he pissed off the. Oh, sorry. Oh man. Sorry for. So he angered the same guy as Shakan then. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right. You can swear.
Yeah.
Oh well, I know you had like a 10 o'clock thing, so I didn't want to take a chance.
It's
Oh,
2
we
minutes
do
from
that
10
as a
o'clock.
joke. We
Yeah,
do that as a
yeah,
joke.
yeah. Yeah. Here, I'll put the TV 14 up there where you can feel better. It's
There you go. I feel much better.
You're only 2 minutes off anyway,
yeah, yeah.
so it's all good.
Yeah.
And I-
My
that's a nice-
child goes to bed at exactly 10 o'clock. Dare you, sir?
This is a good comic to eat oranges with.
now.
Yeah. MVSLZ wants that cake while watching this.
Why do you want the cake? Is it because of the tea? Are we going to spill the tea?
Yeah.
Not on this. This cost me $5.
No, no, no.
Another thing is like,
Okay, ask your daughter what spilling the tea means.
I know what spelling the T means.
Okay. Try to explain that to you.
So yeah, this was a very reasonable Indiegogo campaign, and you're definitely getting a book that's of really nice quality for it. Can't wait to read that. All right, cool. Now,
Cool.
very end. Let's see what you got.
So yeah, you're seeing some of them, but I'll put them back up.
Okay.
So I have again, I got books from Randy, but so I got Pink Lemonade.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, let's look inside of it though. Let's look inside of it. This is the book from Nick Cagnetti, who's been on the show a couple weeks ago. It's alive, like that. They got their barcode in the back.
Oh, that's cool.
I will say this: these books smell.
Like lemonade.
No. I let
See,
Randy.
now that would be really awesome if they did smell like pink lemonade.
Yeah. They smell. They smell like.
That would be a little hard, a little difficult smell to achieve, I think.
No, not
Does
really.
it smell like a printing press, or does it smell just like your ass?
It's like unique. Yo ass.
Yo, mama.
You guys were on the printing press, and I want to see something. I think this might be bigger than a standard comic. Hold on.
He's got a whole stack of Huffing comics. He's got to go smell now and compare.
Yeah.
I'll pull out one of these. Here we go. I'll pull out one of these here. There we go. That's standard size comic, right?
Oh my gosh! Look at that horrible thing. That's awful.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need to see that because I need to scan it and then just have backup in case we have a of some kind.
There's a little. It's a little bit bigger, just a little bit, but
Not by much.
not by much. No. But
That's like
Obviously, he had it done at a more unique printer, so they didn't keep to the exact size.
that's like a Xerox print, folding.
And it
out.
doesn't smell like a Xerox.
it's this is like the pages are really thick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looks like I want to say a LZ80 maybe. I don't know.
Tracy Stapleton. Look, I smell books all the time. Nothing smells better than glossy pages.
Yearbook paper. See, yearbook pages just smell like I don't know.
Man, you have not lived till you have huffed a Uline catalog. They're sending me 2 at a time
Yeah.
now.
Just because they know you enjoy them so, huh?
Those just smell like Net 30 and Warehouse. That's all they smell like.
We have to send 2 to Eric because the first one he sniffs.
All the ink off of it.
Like all I ordered were tubes. Well, here's a book to go on top of it.
Yeah, I like his coloring. Like his art style.
That's a pretty complex scene. The perspective looks pretty good on it.
Mini pen.
Yeah, it looks a lot of fun. I can't wait to get my copies.
Randy has the worst luck. He doesn't have a frog book. No frog book. No
I think
Pink
that
Lemonade.
comes with having the last name start with a Z.
That or Randy.
Kind
I-
of used to it.
I think where the frog book is concerned, Randy went all in, and he's getting the sketch and
Night
the
of
ash
the Li-
cans.
Night of the Living Book Sniffers.
Oh, this is our
I mean, if you
crack.
want to smell books, I got some page sniffers here.
Oh yeah, man! I bet your birthday present there probably smells real good.
Oh, I'm
That's
ecstatic.
that
Well, was-
scratch and sniff hustler, though.
No, sir. I'll wait. This is my bibliophile moment.
Well, let's see what you have. It's not a book, so it's not a comic. It's a what?
A real book. No, I'm kidding.
Real.
He's
So-
got one of them there reading books.
Yeah.
It's all
One
it's
of my
got words
guilty
in them.
pleasures is finding things that are pre-World War II, and if I can find them from pre-World War One.
Okay.
Especially with hardcover books, just because one, we made books a lot better back then,
Mhm.
and just the fact that something can hold up for that test of time means that enough people cared about it,
Mhm.
and that's just one of those things. So for me, and I found a complete works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and it includes all of Sherlock Holmes, but also his other work, which not everyone is familiar with. And it was just a perfect bound trade, straight up to the point. And I found that at Half Price Books. And I went and researched, and I found out that they had roughly around 60 something odd books in this series. Now that particular book is published in 1927. And long story short, 3 or 4 weeks back, I found on Amazon that there were some libraries that were getting rid of their copies of certain books in those collections.
Oh.
And just so you can visually see this.
Whoa.
Sweet.
I got 27 books.
That's all.
Only four
That's
of
all
them
Arthur
from-
Conan Doyle.
Well, I already had Conan Doyle as far as
Okay.
that's concerned. So these ones include Keats, Franklin, Wordsworth, Shelley, Voltaire, Alexander Dumas.
Cool.
There's some of the compilations from the world's greatest detectives. So those include some of the old, Philo Vance and things like that, as far as the original book portrayals before the radio.
Awesome.
Only 4 of them are from the 1950s publication that they did post-war.
Huh.
The rest of them are from 1927 and 1928, and it just makes me happy because now I bit the bullet and I found the rest of them online. And through eBay, I found the other set and I just bought all 40 something of them for $100. So
Cool.
I'm excited to get those in the mail soon. But
Awesome.
you know what this smells like? Old. Hold on, let me do this right. It was the best of times.
There you go.
Actually, let's see. Which one's this? This one is Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Our chains rattled even while we are complaining of them. The poems of Botus rise high in our estimations when we compare them with those of his contemporaries as Sidonius and Apollonius and C.
Now most of that work is in public domain now, isn't it?
Most of
yeah.
it at this
Yeah.
point, I would say yes. Plus, of course, the age-old thing of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is the Incredible Hulk, and the X-Men is so on and so forth.
Right. Now, Randy,
Yeah.
you have you got your Alterna Ween package.
I did. I got an
That-
Alternaween
I think
box.
Peter owns a cereal monster.
It was like a crate.
Yeah, that was a big box. Can you put it up on screen?
I can't put the box up on screen. It's way back on the other side of the basement.
Did you steal his raccoon hat? What's going on? Oh, that's the cat. Never mind.
There wasn't.
I was like, wait a minute, he's wearing it.
I can tell you I took one of each copy so that I can read it
Mhm.
before I give them away. And there was that many
Madre
individual
Dios.
copies
Holy crap!
in that box.
Yeah.
There was a total of 200 and they were 50 cents a piece. So
Nice.
it's going to be great to give away at conventions, and I'm giving a couple away to my local retailer who doesn't carry a lot of independent product, just to show them how good the Alterna product is. So,
And then
as Varian saw, once I packed them all down, it came in an old comic case, almost like what I would call a printy box, because that's what I have back here filled with my stuff. It's a holds 250 books with all sorts of newspapers stuffed in the side. There was a couple of there was a thank you note, which was really cool. It was a checklist from Alterna of everything that they had done in 2019. They had 5 calendars that were included in it, one of which Varian has, and a sticker that says "I support my local comic shop." And he threw in a couple of coasters, Alterna Comics coasters, that will come in very handy. Because he announced online that he was getting them in for a show, and I wrote him back. I said, "Hey Peter, before you send my box out, can you toss a couple coasters in there? Because I'll use them. I'll show them off." So,
you got
and I'll turn a ween button.
mhm.
So
Let's see here. I want to bring everyone's attention to this.
One of us.
I think Tracy was happy that books were being sniffed.
Yeah.
Oh, I've done that for a while.
Here we go.
Eric can attest that I am very much I baby those books to a point. Don't ruin this. I might hurt you.
Ralph says Marvel's Ren and Stimpy had a scratch and sniff at one point. Yeah, I remember that. And I have a Harley Quinn scratch and sniff book.
And it has
Yeah.
Joker in it.
What's it smell like?
Does not smell like pudding. I'll tell you that.
Smells like regret.
Doesn't smell like pudding?
Nuh-uh.
Regret, man.
Are you
There-
sure?
There's a couple farts in there, I believe. There's farts, some eggs, rotten milk.
It's like the John Walters film he did in Smellorama. You got
Basically.
a card. She walked into the theater and you scratched the number.
Yeah, it's So here's our weekly look at some of the Indiegogo campaigns, and we got to start with one of Randy's favorite.
My favorite? What?
Yes,
I haven't
from
invested in this campaign yet.
Yeah, I know, and I'll make you are. I'll make you going to invest because
I like the products,
Isn't,
but
isn't this what we were talking about last time?
yeah, they're up to $582.
What was their goal?
Their
amazing.
goal is 25,000. They passed their goal.
Yeah,
Okay.
they passed their goal. So it's they're good to go.
Yeah,
They still have 30 days left in their campaign too, so they'll
yeah, 507 backers.
probably
30 days.
double that at least. Yeah.
Yep. They've you know what I like looking at the comments, and everyone right now is pretty much on board. It's funny what difference a week makes.
What's the salt in the comments about the previous publications still do?
Well, let's see.
Sorry,
Here.
did I jump ahead?
Yeah, no. We can't. Let's see. What's it? Red Rooster. There we go. Let's see what Red Rooster is like, because I'm pretty sure there was some pretty Krabby Patties over there. They're probably you sons of you.
I did see that some people have received postcards from Red Rooster,
Oh boy!
kind of like an apology. and
$194,000.
I can put another stamp on this and then send my own message pasted on the back to a friend. Gee, golly, I hope it arrives before I have to go home from vacation.
It's sent 7 hours ago. Sent a message with contributing ID. Affected my refund in full. Free from PayPal fees today. I like to just be done with this. Thanks. Woke up.
John Jackson's a little persistent.
He says, "Woke up blocked by Mitch." Anybody want to read this? Can you guys see this?
Woke up blocked by Mitch today, which is weird because I hardly interacted with him. Gux, I was looking
Sucks.
forward. What? Sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it looked like a G. I was looking forward to Red Rooster no matter how late it was. It's pretty shitty to open a second campaign without fulfilling the first, though. I guess Ethan finally got to him and told him to mass block customers like he does.
Wow.
Wasn't aware. I have no knowledge of that.
Yeah.
Some same BS from the industry pros. I'd like my refund now.
Now.
Do it now.
Yeah. She
Hey,
says,
John, this is Liz. We're able to
We're
offer
able-
refunds via PayPal.
Venmo,
Venmo.
Cash App.
Okay.
Message me with your preference. Just a note. This kind of reminds me of
Yeah,
Never mind.
not getting
I
your
was gonna say
money
this
back.
reminds me of my
Yeah.
Taco Cabana messages.
M3SOZ. I understand
Better
that's
get
not just this campaign that's not refunding. There's a lot of them that aren't.
Just to note, Mitch doesn't use blockchains or mass block. He does selectively block handles he feels might be attempting to damage. Mitch is trying his best to protect his family and associates by keeping bad actors at a distance. I'm sorry if you accidentally got swept up and weren't part of that group. If you share your Twitter handle in the message, we'll look into it. Thank you.
I'm kind of curious if blockchains is a is an app. 'Cause
It's
I've never heard that phrase before today.
You had never heard of a blockchain?
No.
Wow. Yeah. Were you aware of Peter Simeti's problem last
Peter?
year with
No,
Alterna
not
Comics?
Peter.
Okay.
I've been mostly dealing with indie games and like YouTube pop culture for the last year or so. So I
Well,
apologize.
long story short, it became popular to use these bots called blockchains. If you found somebody that you didn't like, and a lot of the SJWs were doing that to Comics Gator people, and it would just you'd pick a target, say Ethan or Mike S. Miller, and it would find everybody who was a friend of theirs or connected to them, and automatically block them too. And what Peter did is he put out a company memo saying, please do not use these blockchains. If you have somebody harassing you, block them individually. And a few people got all huffy and puffy about that and started this huge cancel campaign against Peter that lasted for over a year and a half.
And literally added a zero to his company.
Yeah.
As far as his print runs go, it gave him so much publicity, it's not even funny.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it worked out in the end for him because he's doing great now. But he had some rough moments there where he was not looking too mentally healthy because of all the harassment that he was getting.
Yeah, he did get
Sorry to hear
a
that.
big
I was
solid
actually
amount of
going to
harassment.
submit content to his books right before the Toys R Us thing, and I just assumed everything just died until recently. I was like, well, I guess that's over with.
M3SOZ says, how many of those people who backed that book got turned off from backing Indiegogo books altogether?
That's a really good question.
Yeah,
M3SOZ.
I'd imagine quite a few
Yeah.
would be turned off from backing it just because it's I mean you back a book and it doesn't come out, or the person has another campaign running before you received your book.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that upset you? Wouldn't you like, okay, I'm done with Indigo, especially has not received anything in the last 3 months, Randy? What did you say?
Who? What?
You haven't received anything in the last 3 months, have you?
No. Outside of the Alternaween, I've got 9 other campaigns out there I'm waiting for books on. And out of those, there's probably at least half of them are late, I would say.
I think the hardest thing, just from an outside perspective of this, is just indie books in themselves. Like, if the book's not done, that's like your number one problem. Like, if it's not done, then that sucker needs to go. Then just flat out, just needs to not even be remotely being plugged.
Well, not being done is one thing. Not having production problems is one thing, but stopping work on your book so that you can start another company.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was going to touch on, and just
That's
is
a
like
problem.
kind of like what we were when you talking about last week with Red Rooster, where you stop to go start a whole new company with all that.
Yeah,
that's it comes down to is like, look, if the book's not done, you really shouldn't be Kickstartering it. In that case, you probably should go to a different source. Go to pre-orders on a like Store Envy or Etsy, or do a Patreon so that people can see previews for it, and that can help supplement your income for the book.
Or they could have used a 3 months or so additional ramping up for the campaign.
Exactly.
Saying that it's coming, it's going to be out as soon as I get this book done.
Yeah.
That would be the logical thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
M3SOZ says, very foolish when supposedly trying to create a marketplace. I mean, I can see how you can fall victim to, as an artist, as a creative person, get one to hurry up and get that next project going. But yeah, I mean, when you got unfulfilled campaign out there, you've got to focus on that campaign. You've got to get that product into the hands of your customers as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
If you want them to back your next campaign,
if you expect them to back your campaign,
yeah. I got a card. It's not comics books, but it was a playing card deck. I did a Kickstarter for back in November, and still don't have it. But they supposedly said they had post office issues, and it's like, well, you have my address, and the tracking you gave me shows that it shows up, but suddenly it was rejected. So that doesn't make any sense. That's a whole other sub target. But now it's like, okay, we're resending everything out because it wasn't just you. It was like over half of us had this issue. And it's like, okay, so what? Did the U.S. Postal Service go, you didn't pay us, so we're taking everything back? But I guess in short, yes, I can understand publication issue as far as like, hey, the printing's not working, or suddenly the printer's going to charge us more. Or I think you guys said Ethan Schreiber, he ordered all his stuff from overseas, so suddenly there was additional costs.
Yeah, I believe that he
his problem was he wanted to put a chromium cover on the book, and then he had all the guts printed and realized that it wouldn't hold the cover.
Yeah.
So you do like everyone else. You print comic cover, put in sleeve, and go, oh, look, it's Apple exclusive. Okay, so I am going to bring it up in a more positive note on that. So I have witnessed some of the chrome covers recently, and then I've seen some where people are doing the metal covers. And all they're really doing is they're gluing it. They're gluing it right on top of the standard trade cover. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's awesome. But I'm one of those horrible people that I like reader copies. So I collect amalgam comic books, and I collect the random one-offs where it's like John Stewart and he has an entire double-page spread of every single version of a Marine that you could possibly imagine. Like those kinds of books where like there's something in there that's going to inspire me as an artist. You know, from Frankenstein, Superman to even random ones where it's like, okay, so what was her name? Firestar suddenly decides that she's Catholic and the sainted Mother Mary for West Coast Avengers and stuff like that. So for me, I'm like, okay, this metal cover is here. How am I supposed to read the book?
Yeah.
Like, and that's I kind of have the same feeling for like those kind of like those hollow covers or the rainbow foil covers as far as that's concerned. Like, it's cool, but it kind of prevents me from reading the book. Like, I'm more focused on being ginger, you know, dainty with this thing, put on the full glove versus the half glove, you know, to read a book.
Do you think that? Well, I guess. Would you buy 2 copies? Would you buy 2 copies to have a reader copy and a?
I mean, if it came down to that option, personally, I would say, hey, include the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, well, you get a medal that's separate that you can put with it when it's sleeved, and then hey, that's part of the whole thing. Or if it's like the hollow foil thing, you'd be like, here's the, you know, if it's a metallic foil, here's a regular issue to go with it. I mean, if you're selling a foil cover versus a metal cover, and you're selling it for $40, your production cost is going to be realistically, if you're not buying bulk, $3 and change. Realistically, so $2 more to still make $35 in profit for that seems like a valid option.
M3SOZ says, now Skyrim made an utterance that when you back a book, it is like being an investor. You are not really entitled to get a product since it is not a sale. A bit shady.
Where's this?
I would disagree with that.
I have a wait. Oh hell no! Yeah. I no. If I invest, I'm getting something. If I get my book, I'm gonna get something. Like a piece of your ass.
You're buying a book when you're investing because you have a specific tier that you get specific stuff.
I feel like that goes to what I was
it is a purchase.
With like, hey, go to Patreon if you want to do that.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys, and me and Randy talked about this. And I'll ask you guys without doing the wheel. You invest in a comic. $20 trade or whatever. And you're not getting it. You haven't got it. Months have passed. You go to a show, you see it sitting there at the table. The creators at a show with you, sitting there with the book that you backed, happily, selling it to customers. You haven't received your copy yet. Are you going to unask a copy of the book from him? Is that you gonna let him know that you're unhappy that you didn't get your copy, or are you gonna?
I mean, frankly, I would just do like, because this actually happened to me. I only ran one Kickstarter. It was back when I first started trying to get into comic book conventions again. And at the time, I was doing a very simple style, which ironically, I've started doing again in far more detail. But the Kickstarter, I didn't plan anything right. Like, I was just focused on covering, Amazon's cut from Kickstarter and the actual production. And I gave people basically buy one, get one free on over 300 items. And then I offered commissions and so on and so forth. And I had a couple people come after. I just had so many issues that happened because back then Amazon didn't, or I keep doing that because I just keep going parent company. Kickstarter didn't offer, hey, you're going to have to pay shipping on top of this. So you just assumed that shipping was part of the purchase as well. And I had somebody living with me, gave him money to ship a bunch of stuff for me while I was running shows at the time. And I came back and I had all these emails that people weren't getting their stuff. Long story short, I found out that he shoved everything in my utility closet and forgotten it outside. And so I lost a bunch of originals, a bunch of lost stock. Anyways, fast forward, somebody comes to me at a show and they're like, hey, I haven't got my stuff yet. And I still have the stock there. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I really do apologize. I at that time I hadn't discovered that everything had been damaged in the, utility closet of hidden things. And I took a note that this person's name and shipping, and I got the list together and, from the PDF that I'd had him fill out, and I just gave it to him right there. And in that case, I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry for the delay. And even from a professional perspective, and, it doesn't matter if it's commission or comic book or anything else, but like, look, sometimes these things happen. If something gets lost in the mail, then there's two options. You basically like, hey, so I'm busy commission wise, I can try and knock out a replacement, because if it's one of those situations where it gets really screwed up and the post office doesn't give a refund, that's your choice from business. But I mean, all in all, I would go up to the guy and be like, hey, so yeah, I haven't gotten this thing yet, so do you have any tracking or anything? And if they don't, then same as with me, if I don't have the tracking, then they either get a refund or they get the stock. I go and redraw it overnight or whatever.
What do you guys think about that? Do you guys think that how do you feel about that, backing a book on crowdfunding is like being an investor and you're not entitled to get a product since it's not a sale? Do you got I mean, are we all in agreement it's pretty shady?
Oh, I agree that it is a sale.
Like the statement? Yeah, it's definitely a sale.
Eric, you're quiet over there.
Well, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate because I went through this because I got something that I'm never going to receive, and I'm out the money. And I think as long as the communication is there, then I'd be more like, okay, I understand things happen. You don't know how to run the business or unforeseen things. I'm not going to go after somebody. But I think if it's like no communication, everything's shut down, and that's your excuse as to why I'm not getting anything, then yeah, that's shady. And like I would think if I'm paying money for something that's not going to come out, I'm at least paying for an apology, not this is my excuse. So
and a refund.
A refund would be wonderful. Yes, absolutely.
I'm a little hesitant, guys, to back anything that's not a comic book. Like I've seen things online, like I've seen a guy selling a streaming light. He's looking for backers, and they have mock-ups and mock-ups of the product, and it was like $60. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I really want to do that because that's that might never show up.
Well, it's like, remember how everybody was obsessing with those anti-theft backpacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember squat happening with those. Like, I never saw good, I never saw bad. I literally only saw two in actual physical eyesight. But it's just one of those weird things where it's like there are some Kickstarters that become very popular to the point somebody just buys them. And goes, hey, after you fulfill this, then we want to take over.
Yeah.
And then you never see hide nor hair of them. And that's I think a double-edged sword. Like I'll tell, like the last Kickstarter I did, I think everybody can agree why. Hang on. To the archive.
The Frank show is at the ballpoint.
Yeah, I missed out on that one.
I messaged you about it, and I was in overseas, so
I know.
I was in Korea.
Now, do you think that I mean,
so first and foremost, like every single Kickstarter, it showed up late. I think if we could all just thoroughly admit that whatever our scheduled deadline is for Kickstarter, add 2 months minimum. Just because like shipping is a pain in the butt and whatever have you. Like in this case, I think he had an import-export issue. That actually brings up a sub tangent of mine that actually kind of still irritates me just a little bit.
Go ahead. What is it?
So Ballpoint Beauties is produced by a company called Flesk Productions. They're the actual quote publishers who deal with the international production of Frank's book, as well as several others. When I got the book, it was really awesome because I got my little 5x7s down there that are down on the bottom over here next to my scanner, and I got that, and I got everything that was promised me, and I was like, this is great, I love it. And I got a bunch of these little little promos for other artists that they work with, and I'm like, that's perfect, that's good. And I'm like, hey, if I want to check out their work, I've got their info, and I can go look at it. But during the time that I was waiting for the book to actually arrive, I got probably around a dozen emails from Flux Publications that were using Frank Cho's audience for this book, looking for status updates, to plug and promo other books for other artists, which is kind of like this indie situation with Red Rooster and that. But in the sense of it was like, I didn't go looking for those artists, and I don't want to buy their books right now. Like, I've got a Terry Dodson, and I got an Alex Ross, and I got a Frank Cho. Those are the ones I wanted, and those are the ones I bought because those are the ones I wanted to study. If I see an artist at a show and they have an art book, then I'm going to buy that. Like Dax Song is possibly one of the better artists I've ever seen, and next time I see him, I have to buy that book because all my prints got ruined. So.
Yeah.
But that's a side tangent. It's just like, don't use your Kickstarter like Red Rooster to plug something else because I'm not investing in that. That's not what I want. That's not what I bought. Like, I go to Amazon, I'm going to go and buy my coffee, and I'm going to go and buy my camera. Yes, it's nice to get like, hey, by the way, we recommend, but don't shove it down my throat. Don't send me emails going, hey, don't you want to buy this? Don't you want to buy this? Don't you want to buy this?
Speaking of prints, in the back behind you, is that a Levi Craig original?
It is.
Is it? Okay. I see some Levi Craig work back there.
Yeah, Levi called me because Nightmare Before Christmas is one of the few things that I am radically obsessed about in the sense of like the production, the animation, the characters, the storyline itself. There's one other artist when you were mentioning earlier, like, oh, were you ever worried about competition or anything like that? Every once in a while, there was this guy. His guy is named David Wong, and that's another thing. But he does a lot of Nightmare Before Christmas, and I was the other guy.
Okay.
And then Nathan Zerdy showed up as well. That's the Starfire right back there.
Okay.
He's obsessed with Nightmare Before Christmas as well. And so it's like just bicking back and forth. But he called me and he was like, so what things do you think I should put in this? Like, I'm thinking like, do this or do that or do like a pumpkin. And I'm like, so here's the thing is it's like, there are some themes that people kind of associate, but there's things that people forget about. And, I was like, dude, you can put the trees and, when he goes into the forest, you can put this, so you can focus on green Oogie versus brown. And this is right after Levi got all his stuff swiped. So I ended up giving him a bunch of my own watercolors, and that was like one of the first pieces he did. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need that.
Eric, you've because like Levi, not Levi, but I know like Levi doesn't do a book, right? He doesn't have a book out.
No.
And Josh, you don't have
a fictional book.
Are you getting the book together, Josh?
I touched base on it briefly. Yes and no. I am working on a book. However, I honestly don't think it's going to be ready until 2021.
Okay.
I'm working on a couple of other things at the moment that I would like to have done. This one right here, on a side note, speaking of originals for just a brief second.
So take it off the wall.
Panel. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Pretty.
That's full. That's a full painting on like balsa wood.
Cool.
That's cool.
That was
Very
one
nice.
of Pittsburgh Comic Con's last charity art auctions. I got an original from a Disney artist down there.
Is that a Harley Quinn too, as well?
Yeah, that's the Harley Quinn that got repurposed for the Naughty and Nice cover by Nathan Zerdy as well, and then that's the Frank Cho Wonder Woman Justice print, the silver highlights.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yes, I am a single man, and I can put whatever I like on the walls. Anyways, sorry, where were we? Indie book. Yeah, so I have a couple of things. I don't care. I can always talk about one of them. The working title right now that I have is Doom Spoon. It's kind of Midsummer's Night's Dream meets Rescue Rangers and the Borrowers. So,
and Eric, you're going back to Dreaded Dinosaur soon. The Piper book.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm just chomping at the bit. So, but I gotta make sure I'm dividing my time properly, and that's the one thing that I can kind of afford to put on the back burner.
and
Because that's the one thing that I'm not, going to get hung for if I don't get it done.
So that actually that sums up a really really important topic as far as like creating indie books. I think that there's a level of energy that people don't really consider as far as like, oh, you could just knock it out if you really were passionate about it or really cared about it or anything like that. And I have to actually disagree.
Yeah, I would say that's you can't. If it's something that you're really passionate about, you're probably not going to just knock it out because you're going to agonize over the decisions you're making more.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I need to get this done. It doesn't look right. Oh, I messed up the lines. And these days, how should I put this? Put this nicely. I think so I don't know about anybody else, but one of my biggest pet peeves is if I have something that's just black and white inked, oh, that's a nice sketch. That really bothers me because it's one of those things where it's like if you're sitting there and you're inking and you're putting in the shadows and the lighting and you put in like a Bernie Wrightson level of like detail into that sucker, and they're like, oh, that's a nice sketch because it's not colored. That's a whole other kettle of fish. But I feel like what happens is then people translate that into when you produce a book. You're like, oh yeah, well you got the black and whites down, but I want to see everything. I want to see the letters and colors and like everything completely set up to prove you're actually working on the book, because otherwise you just sketched it out. And it's like, look, this stuff takes time. I will almost weekly at Comic-Cons explain to somebody how comic books work, especially nowadays versus like back in the day.
I wonder if Randy, do you I mean, as a publisher, Randy, how do you what would you say if a talent I'm getting messages too to ask.
Okay, yeah, I was checking to see if it was me. I don't remember leaving that on.
Would you if a talent calls you and says, Randy, I'm gonna be late on the book, how late is too late before you say, okay, you're not doing it, or you're fired?
Well, that usually is me. So I'm my own boss on that. So I fire myself. No, back when I was doing Arrow, they had a small window for Diamond to deliver on there before the purchase order was canceled. But 9 times out of 10, I was putting my own stuff out or off in order to make sure everybody else's book got on there. We had that discussion earlier today.
Ralph Griffith says, allows me to see the artwork, line work, and Dave Supreme says, I totally agree. Now, one other question, and we asked this before, but with a lot of these guys making, and I know they're not, like, just because they may have grossed $1 million, they probably didn't get $1 million.
Yeah.
But
maybe
is there
600,000? I'd say if they made $1 million.
Is there a point?
Oh no.
Is there a point
It all
where
depends upon the product.
Is there a point where you should get off the teat? Like, okay, you got 600,000. Go build your company. I mean, because if we keep going back to, like, is it a case that these guys are a little bit afraid to put their money where their mouth is?
No, I don't think it's that. A lot of this stuff is all people having to deal with everything that goes into doing a comic for the first time. That's the big problem. You look at Zach. He's taken his profit and turned it right back into Splato Comics, and he's working 4 issues up now. Brian Polito's a big Coffin Comics, a big example. He takes the money, turns it right back around, and he's got he's probably got 4 products at one stage or another in the pipeline. Just like Zach does, and Ethan will do the same thing once he gets his idiot act straightened out.
I just feel like there's a point where you have to get off crowdfunding. Like, okay, guys, thank you for supporting me. Now I'm going to go out here and try to. I hope you still support me when it's on the shelf at your local comic store, or you go to my website and still buy it.
I don't know if any of these guys are ever going to plan on going through retailers. Is the problem, and it is a problem because in order for the industry to survive, the retailers are going to have something to sell. And if it's not from you, it's going to be from somebody else, or it needs to be from somebody else. And Marvel and DC, in my opinion, right now, just are not working hard enough to keep the retailers in business. Now, Marvel's, in my opinion, Marvel's never cared about the retailers and have tried to go around them as often as possible. But DC, even though they cut back the production on their book and their books and they're concentrating on quality, they're still not doing enough to keep the retailers in business.
Josh reads a lot of Marvel.
That's been happening the last 10, 20 years. Though.
He reads a lot of Marvel. Tons of Marvel.
Who? What?
Josh reads Marvel. Lots of it.
Actually, I don't read a lot of Marvel.
He has Marvel Unlimited on his phone. I know this. I see. No, I'm just joking, but no, I know that.
There's so much that needs to be, as far as the retailers go, that need to be supplied and done in order to keep them in business at this point. I think they should be given a little bit more priority.
Eric pre-ordered
In my
a
opinion.
Teen Lantern.
Wait, what?
Eric pre-ordered Teen Lantern. He
Oh,
can't
God.
wait for it to come out. He's hitting his local comic book shop. to
What's
get
a Teen Lantern?
it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Green Lantern for Young Justice.
Yeah. So
Got him.
Brian Michael Bendis is creating Riri Williams over at DC.
She has
She
a back.
hacked. The young black girl, smartest in the DC universe.
Can I say something? Bendis is probably one of the most overrated writers in comics.
Right next to Polito.
Yeah, possibly. But he okay. So this girl,
Yeah, tell the same story about a person becoming reincarnated.
Yeah.
That's several
She-
years. But I'll
One
save
note,
that for
one
another-
note, one note, one note, one note. Okay.
she's the smartest in the DC universe now. She looks just like Riri, and
Just like Riri.
she hacks the Green Lantern Oa power. She hacks the Guardians because they all got Wi-Fi apparently.
The blue dudes, yeah.
Yeah. She
Hacks into their Wi-Fi.
hacks them Wi-Fi and builds herself a Green Lantern ring. Well, she's not a Green Lantern. She's Teen Lantern.
What happened to Howl's custom-made forged lantern?
You know, you lost me at Brian Michael. And then I picked up a few of the other words you were saying, and they just sound like total crap, so I decided to not remember them.
It's even DC calling that revision that they want to do 5G. It's like don't do that.
Yeah.
What?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. 5G.
Okay.
They're going
Well,
through
you know
all
what?
of their icons and replacing them with diverse teens.
Here, we need more companies like Alterna.
Yes,
I think
we do.
Alterna is the business model for the future because they support things. They have crowd funds for some of their teams. Do individual crowd funds to get their books up and done, and they do some crowdfunding for the trades. I love the way that they put the books out on newsprint. They get them cheaply into kids' hands, and then they'll do a full color trade, and the trades are on really nice paper. For the collectors and for the people who want to keep them around for a while. I think that business model is what would save the local comic shop if we had more companies operating in that vein.
Let's see. As Ralph says, the early era, all the talent kind of pushed each other, and we worked as far in advance as we could. I think talent pushing each other. Well, I gotta stop hitting that. I think the talent pushing each other is good. I had a bullpen situation years ago, and for a lot of reasons, it just could not work out because not just the competition was kind of it was toxic. I hate to use that word. I know it's overused nowadays, but there was a lot of toxic competition there. And I think that the other problem is that I pushing each other is I can't work with half you guys. I couldn't work in the same bullpen as Eric. He's knocking out digital stuff. Randy's knocking out character designs in a minute and a half. I've seen him do it. I can't. And I'm sitting there. Josh is drawing right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're saying if you were in a position with us, you'd just be over in the corner crying, "What am I gonna do with my life?"
Marion? Yeah, no, I'd be sitting here drawing while he cries and be like, "You done yet?" Nice work.
I'd occasionally. I'm much better at complaining. What are you working on there? Is it Princess Leia? Is it a Chibi Leia?
Yeah.
You didn't
Excited
pick
for that?
me? Oh, come on.
Yeah, Leia won. She got 17 votes versus everyone else. Like the
That's awesome.
what's it call it? He got B. Let's see, who was B again? I'm trying
That
to.
was Grimlock.
Yeah, Grimlock got 5 votes, and Soundwave got 5 votes, and Starscream got 3. So yeah, no. Here's intricate, massive robots in a very simplified chibi style. And here's Princess Leia with R2D2.
So I do have a question here that I like everybody to answer, and I'll give you guys all 2 minutes to answer it.
Oh my.
Okay.
And the timer starts. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, Varian ask a question.
All right, so here it goes. So,
No.
you have been pinned or tapped to. We got mainly illustrators here tonight. So you've been tapped to illustrate a comic book for a company, and then the partner from that company leaves, signs with another company, and decides he's going to release the book anyway. Sans your permission, sans your your knowing. You found out the way we did, social media. Ain't it grand? What's your next steps? Have
I been paid?
No, you weren't paid.
Okay, and the contracts that this person signed for me to work without pay, have they been violated?
I would say there's some violations in there. There's some violations. There's some you've been taken advantage of.
Okay.
Pardon me. Excuse me.
Well, I'll leave it short and simple. I'm at the point now where just because of the schedule, this is not a diva moment. It just really comes down to my schedule. I take a deposit. I get a contract if it's anything more than just a basic drawing. And if they don't want to sign the contract, then I don't do the work. Just pure and simple, because unfortunately there's a lot of product out there now and I don't want to deal with that. I think the only similar situation that I've really run into is I was working with an indie publisher doing some teddy bear comic books. And for a negative on my light, I was in the middle of a 3 or 4 week show schedule, possibly 5 weeks. I think it was like right around St. Louis, Emerald City, all that. And I had a cover laid out. All I had to do was ink it. I totally didn't do it. I didn't have time. I messaged the owner of the company saying, hey, I'm not going to have this ready until tomorrow. And he was like, well, you're in violation of the contract that we put together. So we're going to cancel it. And the reality is he just had a better looking layout for a book for the cover from the person who did the interiors. And if he had told me that, then I would have totally got it and said, hey, no worries. We can push this off till later.
Yeah.
But instead it was like, hey, I didn't finish the work, but I was halfway done and I hadn't been paid yet. And then in contrast, a couple of years prior with work I had done for him, he went and made banners out of my work, which was against the contract that I had sent him, saying that he wasn't allowed to do that. And I kind of just let it go. But that's my only experience with that. Eric?
I have been burned enough by companies, startups, and comics and stuff like that to where I just want to do whatever's going to cut my losses and just walk away as quickly as possible. Because getting into those situations, if I were to try to go after any of this, I would end up losing more money trying to go after these suckers and more time when I could just spend that time and that money someplace else and be more productive. When I come into an agreement, unless I'm working with somebody who's coming from the business with like some pedigree under their belt, someone like Randy, for example, or working with an established company like Alterna or Dark Horse or something like that, where I know there's some establishment, that would probably, if something happened there that was a breach of contract, I would probably pursue, because I'm not expecting someone of a higher caliber, someone with an established background to screw me over. But a startup company, people who are trying to come together, oh, we got this beautiful idea, my idea. They haven't told me anything about their business plan. I expect that if I do anything, it's going to work out for the worst. So that's I go into it not expecting professionalism, is what I'm trying to say.
That's a good way to look at it.
Randy?
You should always go in expecting some level of professionalism, but You know, I've got too much stuff of my own stuff to do to worry about working for somebody else without a contract.
Yeah.
So I'd go through and make sure there was a contract involved. If that situation happened to me, yeah, there would have been a contract. If there hadn't have been, even if there hadn't have been a contract, it would have been worth $100 or so to me to have the lawyer draft up the cease and desist letter to send to the company just to have it on file, just to try to put the scare of the law into him and
Now, if
into
you guys
them,
don't
I
mind
should
me
say.
asking for just a brief segue, Eric, I know you have a lawyer, and Randy, you have a lawyer, or at least a lawyer on file. How is it worth it having somebody like that on retainer overall?
You don't have to have them on retainer if they're a comic fan
Okay.
and know who you are. You just call them up and say, "Hey, I need a cease and desist letter drawn up and sent," and they go, "Okay," and then they bill you. You know?
Yeah, the firm that we went through drawing up the contracts dealing with the Roddy Piper thing, they did a good job of representing us. And if I ever got into a situation where I needed contracts drawn up again, I would think of using them first.
Was that guy who spent 45 minutes covering the same thing that took over 5 minutes to just sum up?
Huh?
I was saying, was that the same lawyer who spent 45 minutes talking for the same thing that was covered in the first?
No, this is not anybody that you'd know.
Okay.
I wonder if, I mean, when it comes down to getting legal representation,
My brain goes hourly. Sorry.
if we, I mean, it's sad because I guess you do need it in this industry, but even sadder sometimes you got to put it into use. Like, I don't like dragging the law. I think everything can be worked out if you could just, most people sit down and have a chat. But I mean, then again, there are other publishers who work in bad faith. I've seen publishers, try to get product or get, artists from other companies. In my company, I had some guys all start talking amongst themselves and start a company within mine. And not just that, but because I was foolish and closed my eyes to a lot of stuff, I thought they wouldn't be that ballsy to, they actually launched their company in the pages of my book. There was an ad in the back of one of my books, and I'm like, holy hell, what the hell is this? And yeah, so I could have went to a lawyer. I mean, like, hey, they printed this book. I was asleep at the wheel, though. Quite honestly, I wasn't taking care of business like I should have been. Everything should have went through me, but and that taught me a very valuable lesson that I see everything before it goes out.
Yep.
I know what's in the book, what's not. So that taught me a very valuable lesson. And it had to happen that way for me to be able to get that education that I needed. Randy always says, "Get an education," and boy, oh boy, did I get one. That was a 3-year course right there, and I'll never do that again. But
well, in my opinion, that was a little silly that it happened in the first place.
yeah. I should have been watching, and I wasn't. But it taught me that I have to watch. I have to look at everything that comes across, and that mistake, and it also taught me that I need to learn how to do everything.
Yeah.
Don't delegate because I don't know how to do it. Delegate because I don't have time, or I just want to give someone else opportunity.
Yeah, I'm also kind of a control freak when it comes to when I'm spending that much money, especially to a printer. I want to know what it's going to look like before I run him a check.
Yeah.
So the majority of the books, all of the newspapers, I ran the files down to the printer personally. After inspecting the PDFs to make sure everything looked right, because I wanted to make sure he had it. I wanted that communication, and I also took him the checks.
I was speaking when I was coming back from Randy's house. I rode up there with Brandon, and I don't know if Brandon has been in the chat. I'm pretty sure he's not in the chat right now, but if he was asking me a couple questions. He wants to be a comic writer, and he's been honing his craft for a while. And he was asking me. He said, not only was he upset that there's never really been a comic book union a comic book artists union or a indie comic creators union, but that he asked me not just why we couldn't have one, but why, what kind of services would a union like that offer? And I said, in a perfect world, it would obviously be I would think a union would offer um to make sure that cons we were treated fairly, that we had decent placement, decent pricing. But I explained to him that would never happen, and he said, "Well, do you think it could happen with the writers instead of the artists?" I told him, "No, I don't think it could ever happen. I don't. The industry is set up to where it could never be unionized, and I don't know if a union is a good thing for comic industry."
Well, if the industry was bigger and the companies were huge, instead, well, they're tied into huge corporations now, at least the two big mainstream. But
but we're treated as independent contractors usually.
it'll always be independent contractors.
Yeah, it's always work for hire at this point. It doesn't matter.
And then the old
you look
story
at how-
goes, they can always find somebody to do it cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you look at Hollywood and all the problems they have with like the Screen Actors Guild, and then they had a big famous writer's strike not too long ago.
Yep.
And I think everybody's kind of learned from that model in other entertainment industries, just to kind of keep it all contractual.
And there are numerous examples of people getting put in their place, especially in the comic industry, for trying, not just trying to unionize, but for trying to get more than they're worth, or their worth in the corporate mind.
Do you think that in the near future, right now we got Ralph says, I never thought the industry would collapse and go from 13 distributors to less than 3 in months. Yeah, that was before my time, because all I remember is Diamond, guys. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was some
anybody else.
hardcore manipulation, though, too. So that was somebody taking advantage of a botched business decision from somebody else and causing a panic and then capitalizing on it.
Do you what time period of comics you look back on fondly, Eric? Is there a time period?
Yeah, well, for what I collect mostly Silver Age stuff. I do remember, yeah, you know what? The original Valiant era. I looked forward to those books more than anything, and I remember just how energized they made me. I was on the Image bandwagon too in the very beginning. I would probably say they were really good parallels. Valiant ended too soon, and Image just kind of deteriorated over time as far as quality and what the company was putting out for me. But I really, just the craftsmanship of Valiant, and two of my favorite artists, my big influences, Bob Layton and Barry Windsor Smith. Just seeing their work on the page with all this beautiful watercolor stuff that they were doing for the colored pages, that definitely holds some nostalgia for me.
Josh, do you have a part of the era that you look back on fondly when it comes to comics?
I guess you could say that. So much like with books, I'm a walking conundrum as far as like what I choose to collect and things like that. And my childhood was mostly very family friendly as far as that's concerned. So it was like Sunday comics and like Garfield. My dad had an entire collection of Garfield and some of the knockoffs like Wordsworth and things like that, where it was a fat basset hound, and those were really fun. But I mostly read books growing up, and when I finally started getting into comic books was actually high school. So for me, I'd probably have to say the 90s. Now I was in high school in the late 90s and 2000s, so I'm the youngster as far as that's concerned. But I really was appreciating like the new designs of characters and like the sudden style shifts from everything else. It was different. People were focusing on creating comics where the look created the stuff. So like Mark Bagley and Randy and like all these other guys that were just like rocking out like just different designs. Even Mark McKenna back then, it was just like those were just like the scene could be done without the writing, and you knew what was going on in the book.
Mhm.
And in contrast to that, actually, what kind of started this cutesy style. In the back of those books, a lot of it was done by this artist. His name's Chris Giarrusso. He's still around. In fact, he's that Captain America up there in the back. It's barely seeable because of the darkness going on. But like that whole style really influenced me because it meant, hey, you could do comic books and you didn't have to draw one specific way. And then I guess other than that, I found this really awesome trade in my local library during that time. It was like Superman from the 30s to the 70s.
Yeah.
And just getting to see the evolution of a character in one giant paperback from these hokey stories and everything else.
That started out as a hardback. There
It
was a
hard,
string of them.
hardcover,
Yeah.
like thick.
Yeah.
And like I went looking for it. I kept checking it out for months, and then like, I think I came back one day and it was just gone. And I kept trying to get the Batman one and just could never find it.
And there's a Shazam one, Captain
Oh,
Marvel.
of course
That's
there
in the same size, yeah.
M3SOZ says the Union for Intellectual Work not gonna happen outside of Hollywood, no, because I mean they got their Writers Guild.
It's called the Illustrators Guild.
Yeah.
Randy, any era you look back on?
Growing up, in that personally influenced me, era or what?
This something
Just,
that you look
just
back
the
on.
ideal era, the underground movement during the late 60s to the very early 80s.
Oh, you guys were all high.
Right before no, there's a lot of good stuff out there that doesn't involve drugs. Right as people were realizing that the mainstream big two and that the drugstore distribution stuff was starting to collapse, and people were putting out some really inventive, very crazy things, and then that bled into Aardvark Vanaheim and Cerebus and ElfQuest and Ismit and Moondog and all of these great First Kingdom, Tandra, all of these great books that nobody knows about anymore because nobody pays any attention to them. But all the way up until Silly Solson publication decided that there was money in mining that stuff out, and through Turtles even. And then you started getting Santa, Samurai Santa, and the generic comic book, and the other BS that just flooded the market and killed a lot of the retailers out just as they were coming through and figuring out what was happening. Right up to the start of that mess, there was a lot of really creative, very unusual things out that nobody talks about anymore. Fish Police and Troll Lords, and even Tales from the Aniverse was in that era. It was a very creative time with a lot of different styles that were really stretching. Love and Rockets, the stuff coming out from Fantagraphics, and the Arrow comic stuff was just really a good time for sequential art.
Yeah.
And for stretching that boundary, and I still look back fondly even on those old drug comics, man, those old drug and sex comics, the Crumb comics, the stuff that used to circulate through the head shops. A lot of that stuff was very inventive, and any more would just be outrageously naughty.
For me, you guys are gonna laugh, and Josh mentioned it. I'm 37 now. Yeah, I'm 37 years old.
You're an old man.
Yeah, and I think Lola's the youngest and she's still in her 20s. So, but we've got like for me, it was the 90s. It was the 90s X-Men stuff with Jim Lee. I know, Randy.
I almost forgot one of my most favorite.
You're not seeing my eyes roll. I understand your nostalgia. Everybody's got that level. You weren't around for the really awesome stuff. That's all.
Oh, Ron Lim was probably the other major influence back then for me. Sorry.
Ron Lim?
Yeah.
X-Men, Ray O'Donnell is the man. It was one of those flip comics with Saint Angel by Image Comics. It was like 8 pages of one and 8 pages of the other. Ironically, he fights a bunch of hybrid frogs, in the early 90s. It's interesting.
What are you guys looking forward to any independent books lately? Before we wrap up,
I'd like to see some of my crowdfunding books come in.
I am looking forward to probably Monster MD the most. I know Vaughn. I've gotten to know him through chatting back and forth, and I'm really excited for him. This is his first book. It was a banging success out of the park. It looks beautiful. It's a great concept, and I think he's going to be a definite plus to this industry to have him around. He's definitely got some skill as a writer, and I think this book's going to be really cool. I can't wait for it. Plus, one of my pinups is in it, so that'll be cool to see.
That's cool. That's cool. Josh, anything you're looking forward to? Any books?
No, not a book. There's something I'm hoping that's really going to come through for a friend of mine. She's been doing a lot of work with the artists out in Phoenix, from everybody from Brian Pulido to Antonio D and all that, with The Changeling and Lady Death and all these other titles. And she's working on her own project right now. She's working on an animated series.
Okay,
Cool.
Yeah, it's on Kickstarter right now. It's the Salem series.
okay.
Basically, it's just like a cryptid creature. It doesn't know what it is, and it goes hunting for all the other cryptids, hoping to find out who and what it is.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
If you go to my page, there's a link with my profile picture. That's what the character looks like, as far as that's concerned. So she's like a little purple impish character.
Hey, she got a trailer. Varian, why don't you bring that up on Kickstarter? Let's
she's
watch
got
it.
a trailer up. If you type in the Salem series,
It's on Kickstarter.
yeah, it's on Kickstarter. The Salem series pops it up, and I know YouTube pops up a little bit. She's got a lot of voice talent. She's got some people from Gravity Falls, and she's got some people from Star versus the Forces of the Universe.
While you're digging that up, I have to take a small break.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think more importantly for us, Pinky, Ralph, good old Ralph there, he's actually the voice of several of the characters in the show, from Pinky and the Brain. You know, my brain is stroking out on his last name right now.
It's all
Is
right.
it Emily Mary? Is that her?
No, it'd be Samantha Sawyer.
Okay.
So it's called thesalemseries.com. It'll bring you up the Kickstarter.
Okay.
So how did she get these top-notch voice talents to help her with her little independent project?
She went to these things called Comic Cons,
Ooh.
Oh.
and she also lives in LA. So like that.
Okay, well, yeah.
So,
The convenience of not having to travel anywhere, I guess.
yeah, well, she travels a lot, but
But
she
the,
does.
the voice talent wouldn't have to travel so much, right?
Pinky and the Brain. She just moved back to Arizona. Sorry, she moved back to Arizona briefly, so she could start funding this. So Rob Paulson, not Ralph. Wow, 5 points, gosh. Yeah. So Rob is doing at least two of the characters on the show.
He's one of my favorite voice actors, actually.
Yeah. Same. Did Ninja Turtles for us. For some of you guys who haven't seen it, as well as Pinky and the Brain, he was one of the Animaniacs. Bunch of stuff.
Let's see. Is it
Well, no, he wasn't. Was he? No.
Yeah, he was animated. Raphael. He was
Yeah.
Mighty Max.
Yeah. He's done a lot. He was in Jimmy Neutron. He was the nerdy little boy. I don't understand why things are happening. I like the things. Anyways.
Let's see here.
Hi, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is Rob.
You know, a professional host would have had this pulled up by now.
Yeah. It took me a while to find it.
H.
It took me a while to find it. This is it, right? All right.
Hey, look at that. Behind the scenes.
Can you guys hear that? I don't think you guys can hear anything.
No sounds yet.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll fix that too. Yeah, see the professionalism.
This is why we can't have nice things.
All right, there we go. I'll play it for you guys.
And you guys know what cryptids are at all?
I know what the term cryptic is, but I'm not,
Sammy.
Think of like
I'm not aware.
It's such
Yeah.
a like big thing, but nobody knows it by that term. But
so a cryptid is surely you guys know like Bigfoot and like the
Yeah.
Loch Ness
Oh,
monster.
yeah.
The scientific term is a cryptid. Like kind of couples with like cryptid walls, like
And how's it spelled?
It's
Is it not cryptic with the D?
CRY.
Cryptid. CRYD? CRYPD?
It is. Bam.
CID.
Boogeyman.
Cryptig. Cryptig.
Right.
Some
Showing us, like,
flashcards for me. Yes, cryptic. Okay, now I got it. Thank you.
And so her whole life she has thought that she was a boogeyman because she was adopted by the
The
boogeyman.
boogeyman.
The boogeyman.
Who better?
Nobody has any idea what kind of like cryptid or monster that she is. And so she's like, well, what am I? And it's like, I don't know. You're you. And so the entire premise of the show is that she and Oliver and Petra all kind of like team up to go on an adventure to kind of figure out what she is by exploring other cryptid monsters. So through the whole show, they get to meet like the Night Walkers. I love Night Walkers. I don't know if you
pants. They're furry
Their
pants.
pants. They're literally pants.
Yeah.
You see those?
I have.
No, they're literally
Walking
pants.
He's like walking.
Literally, that's all they are. Yeah.
No,
weird.
no, like
what?
it's just this.
Look it up. Look it up
It's just
online.
pants.
There's all these pictures.
I'm
They're
looking forward
amazing.
to it.
Yeah.
It's
It's actually like surveillance camera footage.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Walk
pants,
on
pants
pants.
walking.
Yeah.
I told you they'd be here.
Nightwalker get a shower in peace.
Oh yeah, and I forgot she's they've got licensing with Lindsey Sterling, for the
Dang.
techno violin,
Awesome.
to
That's pretty
record
cool.
the show. So
Yeah.
Sweet.
I,
but yeah, they've only been live for like 2 or 3 days, but they're at the halfway point, I'd say, or just barely past halfway.
okay.
But yeah, when you type up the Salem series, it pops up the stuff they're doing, like blankets and pins, and get your character in there and get interviews with the voice actors and stuff like that. So
That's cool. I love hearing stuff like that. I love seeing it. That's really cool. Looks like a quality animation series. And I think Tracy hit her keyboard.
ditch
Little
the
war.
glasses.
Not like
I
one.
did a green tea mask today.
Yeah. So thank you guys for coming on with me. I hope you guys will come back. We have we open some comics up. Hopefully everybody picks up some of those books or gives them a try. Pink Lemonade is still, I believe it's still funding on demand. You can still pick up copies. If not, he is in Diamond. As well as alternative books are carried at a lot of different places.
That actually brings up an interesting point.
Mhm.
I was going to mention this earlier, and I just totally stroked out on it. But I know we're wrapping it up as quickly as we can. One of the things I've noticed with some of like Dragon's Lair is the big chain in Texas, at least as far as like it's a local shop, but they do other stuff. They have got a couple of bookshelves that are just basically employee's choice. And they have to leave like a brief description and, like, hey, what's going on? This is what I like, things like that. And they really do support a crud load of independent comics. But then they'll give you descriptions and be like, hey, if you like Sabrina, you're going to, the Teenage Witch, the occult versions, then you're going to like this. Or if you like, Critical Role, you'll like Knights of the Dinner Table. That's a whole monster for you guys. I know that. But that's when they'll like try to give a brief description without telling too much. Or like Sunstone, and be like, you like romance with a little bit of interesting things? Yeah, you might like this. You definitely need to be 18, 17 or older, NC 17. Keep that on the very top shelf. The children. But, just like even with local books, like going into your local shop and just be like, hey, maybe they can set up a stand that's just sitting there at checkout or right there, and just be like, here's the book of the month, kind of deal. Like, check it out.
Right.
Yeah, that could work. I mean, we got to get the retailers on our side, and we got to help them out because they want to make money.
Yep.
And you can't really, you got to figure out a way to bridge that gap and extend that olive branch. By the way, everybody, let's take our last couple minutes here to laugh at Lola as she begins her last week of college this year. And she will be officially starting her graphic design courses for her degree in graphic design. Let's all have a great cackle at her expense.
Gonna start her doing her student loans or something.
Let's cackle at her. Graphic design degree. No,
You're gonna have to download this free Google font.
Are you? Are any suggestions for it, Josh, for graphic design?
I enjoy and just love hearing the phrase, I'm needing a website. Can you do website design as well? I like this idea, but I need you to do the HTML. Is your file going to be in vector? I need you to make it so it works good on a t-shirt, but also looks good on the internet. I have this idea, and once it pays off, enjoy. I got a list. It's probably at least as thick as this. If you
That
want.
looks really good, but can you make the background just yellow with big black letters instead?
Don't. Oh no, I have files that haunt me from this place that did Chicago meets New York hot dogs. I told him, and this was back when I worked for FedEx Office years ago, and I was doing design work basically on the DL. I told him multiple times he didn't want this yellow, and then he goes and gets it printed, and he's like, the yellow looks like it looks kind of green, and it doesn't look good. And I'm like, remember when I told you after this point there was no ability to change the file? I meant that. Because I think he paid me like $80, and it was like just god awful. And then he went and painted it on the side of a building. He paid somebody to like screen project it and paint it. And so every time I drove into the city, it was just this logo that was just nothing but clip art and bad fonts that this person had chosen over the proper fonts that I wanted to do.
Randy did a nice.
Lose your soul.
Dave Sabrina says, "Congratulations, Lola." Randy did a nice portrait for a local restaurant, and they've since went a mural, 2 of them, right?
2 murals, yeah.
And they went over one. And
They've gone over both of them.
Have they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just whitewashed them. No call, no nothing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, you want to come get some professional photos of this last minute? No.
No friendly warning, no nothing. Just painted right over them.
My advice would be don't reinvent the wheel for projects. There's plenty of places out there that have not just, clip art's kind of a bad name for it, but art assets that are pre-made that you can use.
Open source material.
Source material, good.
Just remember, you only have to change it 25%.
Yeah. Put that in your put a specific number of changes that they can make before you have to charge them more.
The
That's
real
true,
answer
too.
is
Yep.
2. You get 2.
Yeah.
And
Free
from
changes, and then after
2
that,
revisions, that's it.
it's by the hour.
Yeah.
After that.
Elsewise, yes, hourly.
and Racer
That-
R.
And your
Yeah.
rates are high.
Racer R from Indie Vote Radio says, and for please God, don't work for Fiverr.
Five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This reminds me of something from when I was in college. It was called Dollar Sketch. This guy hit me up out of the blue, and it was, again, I was really shitty back then learning how to draw, and it'd be like stupid stuff like draw a slightly overweight hiker on a trail, and then there's signs that say Dubai this way, how many miles, and a sign that says this, or can you draw a robot holding an ice cream cone and a pony for $1? And so these were some of the worst drawings I've ever done, but at the same time, they stick in my head because of that kind of like sell out.
I have PTSD from my time doing stuff on Fiverr.
Unlimited revisions. Unlimited revisions. They offer that now. Unlimited revisions. So yeah. Look at look at Eric's face like unlimited revisions.
I'm just assuming Fiverr is like one of those things where it's like, hi guys, I'm trying to make a band. Everyone submit your ideas for free.
It's basically it's like, what would you say, Upwork or
and if we like it, we'll
just about
consider
any you can find just about anybody on there doing anything creative, from drawing to voice actors to editing your term paper. And the minimum thing is it's $5 to start, and then you can do other tiers up from that. I did make some money doing it, but really what I was trying to do with it was just, I was early on doing sketch cards, and I wanted to do advocacy work for the Scleroderma Foundation. So I made up some cards that were specifically for this, and
you still have
probably not. Anyway, so I had information about scleroderma on the back, and then I was doing like $5 quick sketch cards and mailing them out. But it soon devolved into people wanting me to do this thing for their brochure and this other stuff, and it just ended up soaking up so much of my time, and there wasn't enough money coming in to support that time. So I just had to cut my losses and walk away.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, fellas and lady. We will be back Thursday morning for the Indie Vote Breakfast Buzz at 9 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. Yeah, 9 a.m. Nice and early. Yeah, Lola's not here. It's normally just me and Randy and whoever we can get on. Sometimes we guilt Eric into coming on.
Maybe.
I might make it. I have to get to
8 a.m.
Wizard World Madison, so I might be driving that morning.
Ooh. Where can we find you, Josh?
You can find me at Art of Josh Lyman on Instagram, Twitter, and of course the magic of Facebook. You just type in Art of Josh Lyman or put some spaces between those words. Thank you guys for having me for the first time. This will be hopefully the first of very many.
Yeah.
With random
thanks for
topics
coming
and
on.
whatever I have.
Yeah.
I've got a bit more to do on good old R2D2 and then the telescope pistol, But yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Eric, where can we find you, sir?
At Dreaded Dinosaur on all the major social networks.
Dinosaur.
There's a cobwebbed YouTube channel you can go to and watch some of my Dreaded Dinosaur videos where I was doing my webcomic daily. I'm currently working on the Roddy Piper book, so you can go to kiltedavenger.com and that'll take you to the Indiegogo page and you can see some of the updates and stuff from that. Twitter, Instagram. I'm going to be trying to do more stuff heavily in Instagram. So at Dreaded Dinosaur on Instagram will probably be the place to start following me. And I do have my Facebook page, so you can find me on there as well. And this weekend I will be at Wizard World Madison. And, they said last year was great, so let's hope for this year.
And Josh will be there too?
I will not. No.
What are you guys' booth numbers?
I have no idea.
No idea.
He won't be there. He's going to get ready to fly out to Korea.
Yeah,
I fly out to Korea November 15th.
Okay.
As far as that's concerned. But no, my last show of the year is Alamo City Comic-Con Halloween edition.
Okay.
That might be a topic for another time, but there's an event that has decided that they wanted to put on a free show this weekend, conveniently after the Halloween edition had announced itself.
Oh no!
Fun.
Yeah. That's a topic for another time off the boards, but I'm hoping it's gonna be good. They have Michael Keaton as a first time appearance for the Halloween edition show.
Cool.
The Batman and Beetlejuice, and he's got a bunch of C-list Outer Limits-esque characters from like Chips and things like that, and some X-Men '90s voice actors coming.
Cool.
So hopefully it'll be good.
Says I have a pinup of Vampirella, supposedly issue 4 of the new series. M3SOZ. Yeah, good. I get to see some of your artwork. He won't send me a link, so we get to see some of
Vampirella number 4. Google it.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it. M3SOZ. Thank you.
I can't type things.
I'm gonna definitely look out for it then.
I'm an artist. We don't type stuff.
I know him. I'm gonna find it. Randy, where can we find you, sir?
It's Facebook and Twitter under Randy Zim. But my next show is Grand Rapids Comic-Con, where I will be moderating 3 panels.
I thought that was last weekend.
One each day. No, it's the first weekend in November. He switches weekends all the time.
Yeah, mine's the first weekend of November as well.
Yeah. Then Zim Geek channel on YouTube. I got more videos coming.
Yeah, I'll get the YouTube up and going. That's actually why I got this microphone.
Cool.
We're going to start trying to do some videos and some back and forth to, hey, here we are on the road and art tutorials and things like that. Try to really push that for everybody. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to try to put my Osimo Pocket through some trials at Wizard Madison and see what I can come up with for kind of a recap show. Yeah. Maybe do some interviews with some cosplayers. Trying to find some indie comic creators in the Madison area and have them tell me about their book.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining us, guys. We're going off air. You guys can heck around if you want. I will go backstage. Thank you for watching. We'll be back here Thursday morning at 9 a.m. as well as every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Join us on Indie Vote Radio, which you can download on the Google Play Store app as well as iOS, and you can find us on the Roku at Indie Vote TV.
Oh yeah!
And now we're even on podcasts, Spotify podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We are everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Everywhere you want to be, like Master.
Everywhere.
American Express, one of them. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Take care.